Innovations.
So we were at this footnote here. Footnote 1014, where it says, examples of the second type, the blasphemous heretics, include the Mu'tazila. The second type of what? Second type of bad innovation. Second type of bad innovation. Really, this is a subsection under that, but I'm going to back up for you. There's two types of innovations, good and bad, like you've learned before. Now we talk about bad innovations at the moment. And we said there's two types of bad innovations. Two types of bad innovations. And then I asked the question while I was muted and talking to myself. So nobody answered me. So I'm going to repeat the question. What are the two types of bad innovations? What are the two types of bad innovations? What are the two types of bad innovations? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The two types of bad innovations are practical bad innovations and convictions that are bad innovations. Bad innovation in practice, bad innovation in creed. We already looked at the footnotes for the bad innovation in practice. Yani, we read the body already, talked about these bad innovations in practice. And we read a few footnotes that we have here. There's, 4 footnotes here. We covered them already. Bad innovations in practice like what? Like making tayammum on a carpet or pillow that doesn't have dusty soil. Like expanding the mas'ah, the sa'i lane in Hajj. And seeking the shortest distance for the Kaaba, or seeking the shape of the earth for determining the Qibla. And abbreviating supplications and salutations upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is not haram. It's disliked, makruh, avoided. And since it's avoided, better not to do, it's counted as a bad innovation. It's not a sin though. And perverting the name of Allah and copyright. Sheikh said that's a bid'ah. A bid'ah that came from the Europeans from the last 2 centuries. So, one type of bad innovation is bad innovation in practice. The other type of bad innovation is bad innovation in creed. And this is by far the vast majority of bad innovations. And when the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, وَكُلُّ بِدْعَةٍ ضَلَالَةٍ, every innovation is misguidance. This means most of the innovations are misguidance. And what are those? Yani, what's that most there? That's all these innovated creeds. Many, many, many. Yani, the innovations I just told you is like a handful. How many of these practical ones? Tayammum on a carpet. Expanding mas'ah. Yani, using wrong rules for Qibla. Abbreviating the supplications and salutations. Perverting the name of Allah, copyright. That's 6 things. That's not many, many, many things. We do have, on the other hand, good innovations. I want to see something here. I have a list here. Let's see. Good innovations, like some innovative prayers. Some innovative prayers, like 2 rakats before being executed. Some innovated dhikrs. There's a number of those. Writing the salah and the salam on the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. Writing it. The letters that the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam sent to the different kings didn't have it written. So that's a good thing, writing it. So that's 3, yes? Prayers, dhikrs, writing the salat and the salam. The hollow mihrab. Yani that hollow niche where the imam stands. The adhan tower. That's 5. The dots and vowels of the Quran. And you can count the mushaf itself. You can count the mushaf itself. The dots and vowels, that's 6. You can count the mushaf itself. That's 7. The tariqas, that's 8. Mawlid is 9. Excuse me. 9, yani good innovations with some branches from there. That's not many things. Where's all these innovations, the creeds, innovated creeds? So, there's 2 types of bad innovations. Innovation in practice, and we just looked at some. And innovation in creed. Now, innovation in creed is 2 categories. The first one is an innovation that's only a major sin. And the other one is an innovation that's blasphemy. Now, where we just started is right here. This one is what we're talking about. The innovation in creed would either be a major sin or blasphemy. Examples of the first, major sin, not blasphemy, are, and we have some cases here. And then, because we were trying to catch all the footnotes, examples of the second type, blasphemous, the blasphemous heretics include, we have a footnote here. But now I'm just catching you up to some things here. So what are examples of innovation in creed that's not blasphemy? Like believing that Abu Bakr, Umar, and Uthman all wronged Ali by taking rulership before him. So this means if you meet a person who says, I think, or I believe that Ali should have been the first caliph, or he might say, I believe Ali was the first caliph. So you're not going to call him a kafir for this, but he is definitely a major sinner. You will know he's a major sinner right there. It's like he told you, I'm a major sinner. Because he just told you that he has heretical creed. Heretical creed, it will never be less than a major sin. And really, the meaning of this bid'ah here is that he believes that the companions of the Prophet ﷺ engaged in mass conspiracy to silence and maybe disenfranchise Ali, if that's the right word. Or merely saying that Allah will not be seen in the afterlife. Merely means here is only being, he's not being stubborn. Merely here means not being stubborn. He's not saying it stubbornly. And merely here means also not having other Mu'tazili beliefs, because this is a Mu'tazili belief that God cannot be seen. But just isolating this one case and taking it away from other Mu'tazili beliefs like denying destiny and denying the attributes of Allah. This case of denying that God can be seen, if a person is not stubborn here, then we're not going to call him a kafir. And I met one person like this in my life. When I say met here, I mean in real life, not online. And I was with one of our brothers. So we met this guy, and I don't even remember the outcome of the conversation, nor how it came up that he told us that he doesn't believe that Allah can be seen. But when we left this person, the brother was confused. So he said to me, "That's not blasphemy?" Because he saw that I didn't deem him as a kafir. I told him we learned that we're not going to call him kafir for this. But if he's being stubborn, means he doesn't care. Then it's going to be blasphemy. And that's a blasphemy in itself. The kufr of inad, kufr al-inad, the blasphemy of stubbornness. And also saying this sentence, the Quran is created. Well, saying, yes?
Sorry, can you just explain the last case again? Why it wasn't blasphemy?
Why it's not blasphemy to deny that Allah can be seen? Because he's confused here. He has a correct base. His correct base is to say Allah is not like the creations. Whatever you can imagine, he's different from that. He's not in a place or a direction. From here, he thought that Allah can't be seen. He thought that if you say Allah can be seen means he's a body or he's like creations. So he has deficiency in his comprehension. So we're going to teach him. He's not being stubborn also. So we're going to teach him. That's clear?
So just to go back to that case that you had with a person, that was the actual statement that he said,
Yeah.
that Allah can be seen?
Cannot. He said, I don't believe
cannot.
that Allah can be seen. Or he might have said, I don't believe that we will see Allah.
Okay. But he's like his belief wise, he was correct.
Well, I didn't investigate with him. I didn't say to him, but do you believe that Allah exists without a place? I just settled with the fact that we learned that if someone denies that Allah can be seen or is or will be seen, or if someone doesn't believe that we will see Allah, we're not going to deem him as a kafir if he's not being stubborn.
Okay, understood. Barakallah.
I mean, wafiq. It was a good thing I learned that. And now, at the very least, I mean, by the time I encountered that man, at the least I would have been potentially confused and then would have went to ask about his case. And if I were to assume, then I might have said he committed blasphemy. But there is a saying that the one who denies that Allah will be seen commits blasphemy. That's why we have here, according to the stronger saying. Yani, there is a saying that we're not going to consider whether he's confused or not. If he denies that Allah can be seen, this is blasphemy. And yani, Abu Mansur al-Maturidi, I'm sorry, not al-Maturidi, al-Baghdadi, Abu Mansur al-Baghdadi, he said that's the position of the majority of the scholars. He's a kafir. Well, we learned that if he's not stubborn, we're going to teach him. He has the confusion. So if that's clear for you, that's good. If you want to follow up, you can follow up, inshallah. Now, this mere statement, the Quran is created. Now, as far as a mere statement only, this is bid'ah. You can't say that. But is that a practical innovation? If it's just saying the statements only, we can ask, inshallah. But why it's right here? Because sometimes person has a certain belief behind the statement. The statement itself is already haram. It's not permissible to say this sentence, the Quran is created. Say, for example, the Mus'haf is created. Or say, the writing in the Quran is created, for example. Don't say the Quran is created. This sentence is haram. Now, sometimes a person has a devious conviction behind that sentence. Sometimes a person doesn't believe that Allah speaks. Sometimes a person does not believe that Allah speaks. He denies that God has an attribute of speech. And along with this denial, he says the Quran is created. If he combines those two, then when he says this statement, the Quran is created, he commits blasphemy. But if he only says the Quran is created and he does not deny that Allah has an attribute called speech, then that's haram. It's not permissible to say that sentence. And believing that paradise and hell are not yet existing, not yet, then we're not going to deem him as a kafir. But if, on the other hand, he believes that they will stop existing, even for a moment, that's definitely blasphemy, definitely blasphemy. Yani, for someone who is not like a new Muslim. So these are cases of innovations in creed that are not blasphemy. Wasn't really my intent to recover all these cases again, but it's okay. And while we're here then, what about when someone believes in the so-called limbo status? Yani, what they call in Arabic, al-manzilatu bain al-manzilatayn, limbo status. That means he believes that someone could possibly not be a believer or a kafir. In his convictions, there's three categories. According to correct conviction, there's two categories, believer or kafir. In his conviction, there's third category. So he has a bid'ah. What's this third category according to him? It's the status between the two. It's a limbo, where one is neither a believer nor a kafir. Is this kufr? Sheikh said, you can deem it as kufr. Or if you don't deem it as kufr, there's no harm in not deeming it as kufr. لا بأس بهذا ولا بأس بهذا. Okay. So, okay. Now here we are. Still talking about bad innovations. And talking about bad convictions. He said, isn't that the Mu'tazila? Yeah, that's Mu'tazila, who believe in the limbo status. Yeah. So we're still talking about bad innovations. We are still talking about convictions under bad innovations. And now we want to talk about blasphemous heretics, blasphemous innovators. And it's not really our goal here to list cases of blasphemy. That's going to come in the blasphemy chapter. Cases of blasphemy, like how you learned in Mukhtasar, or how you might have learned in As-Sirat al-Mustaqim. Now we want to look from slightly different perspective. We are talking about blasphemy though right now. So this includes the Mu'tazila. The sentence itself is the Mu'tazila. What do they believe? That's blasphemy. What's their blasphemous innovation? Denying destiny. Also denying the attributes of God. Also believing that God has duties. The Murji'ah, what's their blasphemous innovation? Believing that no believer will be punished. Mushabbiha, God comparers, clear blasphemy. Now while I'm here, someone just actually called me and asked me a question. Not just that, and even someone just yesterday, someone called me today, and just yesterday someone sent me a question. Person sent me yesterday, do you deem as a kafir the one who does not deem the mushabbih a kafir? The answer is absolutely, positively yes. Unequivocally, yes. He's definitely a kafir. Definitely. 100%, with no room for difference in opinion here. Any dissension here is an absolute blunder, massive blunder. It's a crater in the ground, massive blunder. Why? Very simple. Say to a person, this person over here, I'm talking to you, Fulan. This person over here, Fulan. This person over here. I'm asking you, if you know that he believes that Allah is a body, I'm not talking about word games or anything. I'm talking about just at the end of the day, he does believe Allah is a body. Not was implication of his statement. I'm not talking about that. What I'm saying to you is, for sure, he believes Allah is a body, and you know. Do you deem him as a kafir or not? That's my question to you. My question is not if he said this statement. I'm not asking you about the implication of something. Question I'm asking you is, you know that he does believe that Allah is a body. Do you deem him as a kafir or not? So if you tell me no, I'm going to tell you you're a kafir. If you tell me, but what do you say about Fulan? Then what I'm going to say to you, I'm going to say to you, keep Fulan out of this. Can you defend your own statements? You cannot. You cannot defend this nonsense. Your tactic is to use Fulan's statement as the evidence. Is to use Fulan's statement as evidence to say there's not truly a consensus about this issue. There is a difference in opinion amongst the Ahlul Sunnah about this issue. Why don't you keep Fulan out of this here? Now I'm asking you. Yeah, I'm gonna repeat my question for you. You know Fulan believes Allah has a body. Do you deem him as a kafir or not? Tell me. I don't know what you're gonna say. So you're gonna tell me yes or no. So if you say I don't know if he believes Allah has if he believes Allah has a body, then I'm gonna say, well, then you're not gonna have a reason to be sure he's a kafir. But if you told me, yeah, I know he believes that Allah has a body, and I'm not gonna deem him as a kafir, I'm gonna tell you you're definitely a kafir. Don't bring Fulan here. Well, if you insist, he's not. Tell me though. What do you say about Fulan? I'll say to you one thing. Yeah, it depends on who this Fulan here is. Who's this Fulan here? So, this Fulan here, possibly this is not from his talk. Maybe this is insertion into his book. You are telling me something that you found in the book of Fulan. Maybe he didn't say that statement. So, what is he going to say? He's going to say, no, that's weak. Why it's weak? Especially that probably the person who's bringing you this it doesn't have any transmission. Also, he's a page flipper. Anything he finds in the book, he's going to tell you. He has no discretion. This type here, who's bringing this here, he doesn't reject anything from any book because he has no discretion. Whatever he finds in a book is what he believes that somebody said for sure. And also, what else I'm going to say about Fulan? I'll tell you what I'll say about Fulan. He's not impeccable. That's what I'll say about Fulan. He's not impeccable. So what he's going to say, so you make takfir on him? I'm going to say to him, no, I don't have to make takfir on him because I don't even know if he said statement really. I don't know that what you found in his book. I don't know that that's his statement. I don't have to make takfir on him. Now, I want to ask you a question. Is he impeccable according to you? It's a yes or no question. Is Fulan impeccable according to you? So you're going to have to say no. No, Fulan's not impeccable. Okay. So if he made a mistake like that, then if that's really what he said, then that's his mistake. Whatever comes with that mistake is his case. It's not going to change the rule because he's Fulan. So don't let somebody come at you in this way. His argument is that Fulan said it. Now, if you dare to argue about this Fulan that he's bringing you, he's going to say to you, he's a scholar. He's amongst the Imams of Ahlul Sunnah. That's you people. You don't follow the scholars of Ahlul Sunnah. He's going to do that to you because he thinks he's able to. When he says that to me, He's Fulan. He's Imam or Fulan. He's one of the scholars of Ahlul Sunnah. I'm going to say, even if he is, doesn't make it right. But for sure, if someone believes that Allah is a body, then he is not a Muslim, for sure. And the one who says, I'm not going to say he's not a Muslim, this one who doesn't believe, this one who believes that Allah is not a body, I'm not going to say he's not a Muslim. That one, he's not Muslim either, that's for sure. That's just like saying, this one who worshiped the idol, I'm not going to say he's not a Muslim. And the only difference is that this one we're talking about, that we're supposing what he worships is imaginary. The idol worshiper, what he worships right there, something that he chiseled and probably has funny face, googly eyes, and buck teeth, and colorful. And he worships this thing. This other one, he worships something that he imagines in his mind. There's going to be some figure in the sky. Goes up and down in the sky, for example. It has hands and hair and face and all these things. Maybe it doesn't say hair though. Just he'll reserve that for his imagination, the hair, but he won't say it outward. This doesn't have a hadith for it. So we can go on there, but I want to not be stuck here. Only because it just came up now for me 2 times. I just wanted to pause there. If you have a question, feel free. Mushabbi is definitely kafir. Someone who compares Allah's creations definitely is kafir. And one who doesn't deem him as a kafir is a kafir. What I'm talking about here, I'm not talking about someone who said a statement that can go 2 ways. I'm not talking about something else. I'm talking about a person who believes Allah is like the creation. That's what I'm talking about. The one who doesn't deem, the one who likens Allah to the creations as a kafir, he is definitely a kafir. Let's move on. The Ahmadiyya, they believe that there's prophet after Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's blasphemous bid'ah. Okay, so let's see some footnotes here. So examples of the second type, the blasphemous heretics, not the major sinner heretics, include the Mu'tazila. Footnote here. The scholars of Ahlul Sunnah have agreed that the Mu'tazila are blasphemers. This is a similar case. It's like the same case. Yani, are there some people, can you find some books, some people who are attributed to Ahlul Sunnah who said Mu'tazila are not kuffar? Yeah, you'll find them. Who are those ones? These ones who said Mu'tazila are not kuffar. And these ones who said the one who doesn't make takfir on mujassim, about a fire of God, is not a kafir. These ones are babies in the aqidah. If that's really their statement. If it's truly, truly their statement, they are babies in aqidah. Don't think because he's scholar in fiqh or scholar in hadith means he's a master in aqidah. The fields have their imams and their masters. Hadith, fiqh, Arabic language, tafsir, qira'ah, the recitations of the Quran, aqidah, the creed. All these different fields, they have their imams, the high masters, and they have some who are lower than them, and they have some who are lower than them. Anyone bringing you some document about that Mujassim is not a kafir? We'll see his statement. But if he brings you from Fulan, I'm not going to say who right now, then those ones are babies in Aqidah, even if they lived like 200 years ago, 400 years ago. Babies in Aqidah. So even if he did say it, if I was talking to one of those people and I said, he's a baby in Aqidah, that's another discussion. I probably won't say that because he's going to take the opportunity that I said that disparaging statement really to divert and distract and then talk about my bad adab and all that stuff. The scholars of Ahlul Sunnah have agreed that the Mu'tazila are blasphemers, and the sayings of the scholars who have gone against that agreement are not considered. The sayings of the scholars, any scholars who have gone against this agreement, are not considered. Those people that I'm talking about here, uh, they are preying upon some of you brothers and sisters. They are preying upon some of you brothers and sisters. What's their goal? They go to make you think that your teachers are teaching you bad knowledge, not to guide you. And their goal is to throw insults. These people have very bad intentions. They are great cowards and they are liars. Anyway, so the sayings of the scholars who have gone against that agreement are not considered. Then and any of those who have such a dissension here, they're not masters. The Sheikh said in the Sirat, do not be enticed by the lack of charging them with blasphemy from some later figures, latter-day figures. Ustad Abu Mansur at-Tamimi conveyed the Imam's charge of blasphemy against them in his books Usuluddin and Tafsir al-Asma' wa Sifat. Yeah, this Abu Mansur at-Tamimi, he is Abu Mansur al-Baghdadi. He's the one that I was just quoting for you a few minutes ago. Or maybe that was while my voice was muted. Yeah, I think that was, it's okay, I won't say. So he said in his book Tafsir al-Asma' wa Sifat, our colleagues have a consensus about charging the Mu'tazila with blasphemy. So, okay, we can produce this statement here. So what's somebody going to do? He's going to produce a statement from someone from like 300 years ago. Say, look, the Imams have a difference in opinion about this. Meaning those who say the slave creates his voluntary deeds. Yani, they believe that Allah created our bodies, not our actions, and that He installed in us the power to create. And likewise, those who say that it is obligatory on Allah to do what is most beneficial for the slave, yani, they believe that God has duties. Those are definitely blasphemies. He means by his saying our colleagues, the Ash'aris and the Shafi'is. Because he is an Ash'ari and a Shafi'i. Yani, our disciples. In fact, he is a prominent leader among the Shafi'is, as said by Ibn Hajar, and he is a forerunning Imam in conveyance of documents. Yes, I remembered that after I had a question from last week, because last week read the statement of this Imam that we were talking about, that he said the majority of the scholars would deem someone who denies that Allah can be seen as a kafir. He said the majority. The majority deem him as a kafir, the one who doesn't believe that Allah is seen. And last week I said, okay, that's what we learned. This is a statement that we have learned. We have the quote. And I said, and we learned that, yani, according to the Sheikh, there's a subtlety in there. And when the person is confused, in this case, without being stubborn, we're not going to deem him as a kafir. So that would mean that that's minority position. And then I said, so that's really majority position, what he said? So it was just a question that I said on the microphone, I said that question. Then I remembered later, this Imam's one of the forerunning Imams in Naql. Yani, he's the type of one that he's accurate. Usually he's going to be saying something accurate. You can rely on his conveyance. He is a forerunning Imam in conveyance of documents. As we learned that statement that I'm commenting on now. Without, yani, I didn't learn that the Sheikh has any commentary about that statement, any criticism of that statement. Usually Sheikh catches things like that if he doesn't agree with them. Even if it is position of majority, that doesn't harm us. So here's another important benefit for you. Saying of majority is not necessarily correct saying. Not necessarily. قول الجمهور Qawlul Jumhur, that does not equal al-qawlu sahih, correct saying. But usually it is. Usually, qawlul jumhur is al-qawlu sahih. It's correct saying. Not necessarily, though. Possible that a minority have arrived at a more accurate saying about a case. So know that. These religious rules are not like voting. It's not a case of voting here. How many said so? Then we're going to say this is the way. It's about evidence. What's the evidence from the Quran? What's the evidence from the Sunnah? Is there ijma' about the issue? So, he is a forerunning imam in the conveyance of documents. He is known for that among the scholars of fiqh and the scholars of usul and the historians who have authored works about the factions. So whoever wants more certainty, let him read these books of his. His conveyance is not discredited by the talk of al-Bajuri. So this is Sheikh named somewhat. These are words of Sheikh here. It's not citing Sheikh here. It doesn't say it. The Sheikh said, but it is. These are exactly words of Sheikh here. Translated, that is, though. His conveyance, the conveyance of Abu Mansur, this one we are talking about, is not discredited by the talk of al-Bajuri. That's what one of those guys is going to do. Discredit someone like this Imam for someone like al-Bajuri. He's going to tell you, no, there's not an ijma'. Look. He's going to show you a printed document. And his likes who came before him. His likes, who's his likes? His likes are those who are babies in the Aqidah. Those are his likes. So when I say you're a baby in Aqidah, yeah. So now I'm telling you, those ones, if that's what they said, then for sure they babies in the Aqidah. His likes, and the talk of al-Bajuri and his likes who came before him or after him. But just because, like I told you, just because he's strong in fiqh, for example, doesn't mean he's master in Aqidah. It's a good chance person strong in Aqidah is not strong in fiqh. There's a good chance one is strong in fiqh, not strong in Aqidah. Not far-fetched at all. Because especially when there was Islamic government in the caliphate, you can get a job. If you know fiqh, you can get a job with the government. So get educated in fiqh, you will be useful. Not like Aqidah. You can become knowledgeable in Aqidah, but you're not going to find a job so much, though, in those days. Same thing, someone might be strong in Hadith, does not mean strong in Aqidah. In fact, if he doesn't study his Aqidah well, he could be strong in Hadith and he can have a deviant creed because he's going to be encountering so many mutashabi things and not knowing how to handle them because of having weak base in Aqidah. The Sheikh said, as for the talk of some of the early scholars in reference to charging the Mu'tazila with blasphemy, let's say, that is like Bishr al-Marisi and al-Ma'mun al-Abbasi, meaning it's not broad really to say Mu'tazila are not deemed kuffar. Excuse me, broadly they are deemed as kuffar. Because Bishr, he agreed with them in saying that the Quran is created. That statement alone, only just the statement's not enough to deem a person a kafir. And he charged them with blasphemy for saying that the slaves create their own deeds. Yani, they say the Quran is not created, and he said the Quran is not created. That's a Mu'tazili statement. But They also said the slaves create their own deeds, and he didn't say that. So, is he going to be deemed as a kafir just for saying the Quran is created only? No. But did some of them deem him as a kafir for some things? Yes. So this talk right here is not the full story of Bishr here. This talk here does not mean Bishr is not a kafir. So he agreed with them in saying the Quran is created, and he charged them with blasphemy for saying that the slaves create their own deeds. So know that not everyone who is ascribed to the school of the Mu'tazila is judged with the same judgment, or is given the same judgment. And he has the same judgment. But every single individual among them is judged as misguided and a major sinner. This is what we're talking about bid'ah here. He's a mubtadi', a heretic. The Sheikh took good care to confirm the blasphemy of the Mu'tazila in several of his books. Now that's my statement. What's in red is my statement. In this book here, whatever is in red is a statement of mine. Like, it's not something that I translated out of one of the Sheikh's books. It's not a statement directly I took from one of his students and then put it right there just like that, the way it's worded. It might be something that I was saying just to clarify, like, or just to bridge a gap or something. Or it might be something that I have by ijaza that I didn't hear it, but I have ijaza. So I just put it because I have a way of transmission for it. Here. So the Shaykh says in the explanation of As-Sirat and in Sarihul Bayan that the Mu'tazila have a number of convictions by which they have deviated from Ahlul Sunnah. Among them is their belief that Allah did not will for sins and evil to take place. He didn't will for it. Something happened that he didn't will for. And that only took place by other than the will of Allah. Some of them said that the slave creates his own voluntary deeds with a power given to them by Allah. So that's something else. Let's count these here. Allah. Among them is their belief that Allah did not will for sins and evil to take place, but they did take place. So they believe that things happened that God didn't will for them to happen. Some of them said that the slave creates his own voluntary deeds with the power given to him by Allah, and that Allah does not create those deeds. They said that Allah had power over the movement and stillness of the slave before giving the slave the power, and they mean even the insects, humans, angels, jinn, and all animals, and all insects, and all invertebrates. So-called invertebrates. And after giving them the power, he became disabled from them. That's what they believe. And also here, among their convictions is the negation of Allah's attributes. They are atheists, closet atheists, such as power, such as knowledge, power, life, everlastingness, hearing, sight, and speech. Possibly they differed about everlastingness, though. And this case has been addressed in the section of denying the attributes. This might be a synopsis. There are some cases here that maybe I just reworded something from the Sheikh without putting it in red, though. It's just the same meaning, because what happens is I translate all this information, but then it needs to get streamlined so many times because it's too clunky. If I just translate it and don't smooth it out, for me, I find it's too heavy. So I want to make it smoother. So then requires me then to take some liberties sometimes. These three statements dictate that they be charged with blasphemy. Yes, we have three there. These three statements dictate that they be charged with blasphemy. It is not permissible to say that they do not blaspheme by these claims, and that they are only major sinners and deviant innovators. This is what a number of later Shafi'is and Hanafis said. This mistake. The wrong thing is what a number of later Shafi'is and Hanafis said, and they opposed what the messenger explicitly said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and what the companions have unanimously agreed upon without knowing anyone among them differing about that. It is also the word of the Salaf. Now, Shaykh has a long thing presenting statements, many statements to prove that it's ijma'. Statements, yani hadith, statements from Sahaba, statements from Tabi'un, statements from the Imams, from the Salaf, the early ones. It shows this is definitely is ijma' that these people are kuffar. That list should be here in this outstanding reference, and it has been translated. Inshallah, I'll look, make sure that I did put it in here because I don't remember. For sure, it was translated though. That one should be here. Should not be missing from this book. It is also the word of the Salaf, so it is the correct saying, al-qawlu sahih, and the reliable saying, al-mu'tamad, the reliable position, and it is qawlul jumhur, it's the saying of the majority. Whatever opposes this is thrown back to whoever said it, yani whoever opposed it, whoever said that opposition. For it is not permissible to abandon what the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, and what the companions have unanimously agreed upon for some new, deviously different mukhalafa. Different mukhalafa, saying deviously different. Mukhalafa, yani wrong. Saying, not just different in opinion. Wallahu a'lam, stop there. Any question? You said the Ahmadiyya wouldn't let you speak to their Imam in Baltimore. Subhanallah. But those guys are big liars. I talked to some once. They were parked somewhere doing da'wah. So I stopped and talked to one. And yeah, he didn't know I knew Arabic. So he pulled out a book and he told me, here the Prophet said something, he said. And he showed me in Arabic. Didn't say anything. He said he was lying. وَسُبْحَانَ اللَّهِ وَبِحَمْدِهِ